A North Ohio suburb, the Illusion of Idyll. The crisp autumn air carried the scent of fallen leaves and pumpkin spice. It was Halloween in North Ohio. The suburban streets, lined with manicured lawns and two-story houses, buzzed with the excitement of trick-or-treaters. Jack-o'-lanterns glowed on porches, casting eerie shadows in the twilight. A sense of normalcy, of shared traditions and community spirit pervaded the air. It was a picture of idyllic Americana, a scene seemingly untouched by the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. Behind the facade of quaint normalcy, a storm was brewing. The Liske family, residents of this seemingly peaceful suburb, was grappling with a hidden turmoil. Their home, like many others on the block, held secrets that whispered behind closed doors. The facade of normalcy was just that, a facade, a carefully constructed illusion that masked a reality far more complex and disturbing. The vibrant hues of autumn foliage couldn't quite conceal the creeping shadows of despair. The Lisks were a family known to their neighbors as quiet and reserved. Their interactions were cordial but limited. They were present at community events, yet always seemed to remain on the periphery. Theirs was a life lived in the shadows, their smiles strained, their laughter hollow. Little did anyone suspect the extent of their troubles, the silent screams that echoed within the walls of their home. The community, oblivious to the Liskes' internal struggles, reveled in the festive atmosphere. Children shrieked with delight, their costumes a kaleidoscope of colors against the backdrop of darkening skies. Parents chatted amiably, sharing stories and laughter. But amidst the merriment, a chilling premonition lingered in the air, a sense of foreboding that hinted at the horrors to come. The illusion of Idyll was about to shatter, leaving behind a trail of unimaginable grief and despair. The Lisks, a family portrait, marred by hidden struggles. William Lisk Sr., the patriarch of the family, was a hard-working man. He toiled tirelessly to provide for his family, often working long hours at the local factory. His wife Susan was a homemaker, dedicating her life to raising their 3 children. Their eldest, William Jr., was a troubled young man, grappling with mental health issues that cast a long shadow over their lives. Their 2 younger children, a boy and a girl, lived in the shadow of their older brother's struggles. The Lisks, like many families facing similar challenges, struggled to maintain a semblance of normalcy. They yearned for a life free from the constraints of William Jr.'s illness, a life where laughter came easily, and joy was not a fleeting visitor. They tried to shield their younger children from the harsh realities of their brother's condition, hoping to preserve their innocence for as long as possible. But the weight of their secret burden was heavy, threatening to crush their fragile facade of normalcy. William Jr.'s mental health issues had manifested early in his life. He exhibited erratic behavior, prone to violent outbursts and periods of deep withdrawal. His parents, desperate for answers, sought help from medical professionals. They tried various treatments, hoping to find a solution that would bring their son back from the brink. But their efforts proved futile, leaving them feeling helpless and defeated. The strain of William Jr.'s illness took a toll on the entire family. Susan, burdened by the constant worry and the demands of caring for her troubled son, grew increasingly weary. William Sr., torn between his responsibilities as a provider and his desire to support his family, felt the pressure mounting. Their younger children, caught in the crossfire of their brother's outbursts, retreated further into themselves, their childhood innocence tainted by the darkness that had invaded their home. The Liske family, once a symbol of suburban normalcy, was now a portrait of quiet desperation, their dreams shattered by the cruel hand of fate. William Jr., a troubled mind ignored. William Jr. was a young man trapped in the labyrinth of his own mind. His thoughts raced, his emotions volatile, his actions unpredictable. He struggled to make sense of the world around him, his perceptions distorted by the prism of his illness. He was a prisoner of his own internal chaos, unable to break free from the chains of his mental anguish. His parents, desperate to understand their son's struggles, sought answers from medical professionals. They were told that William Jr. suffered from a severe mental illness, a condition that required ongoing treatment and support. But the healthcare system, overwhelmed and under-resourced, failed to provide the comprehensive care that William Jr. desperately needed. He was often shuffled between different doctors, prescribed medications that offered temporary relief but failed to address the root cause of his suffering. William Jr.'s condition worsened over time. His violent outbursts became more frequent, his periods of withdrawal more profound. He became increasingly isolated, withdrawing from his family and friends, retreating into the solitude of his own tormented mind. His parents, exhausted and overwhelmed, struggled to cope with his escalating behavior. They tried to reason with him, to offer comfort and support, but their efforts were met with anger and resentment. The warning signs were there, flashing like neon lights in the darkness. William Jr.'s erratic behavior, his violent outbursts, his withdrawal from the world, all pointed to a mind in desperate need of help. But these signs were ignored, dismissed as the antics of a troubled teenager. The system failed him, his family struggled to cope, and society turned a blind eye to his plight. William Jr., lost in the labyrinth of his own mind, was a ticking time bomb, waiting to explode. Halloween 2010, Horror Unveiled. The sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns of the North Ohio suburb. The air, crisp and cool, carried the sweet scent of autumn leaves and the faint aroma of pumpkin spice. Children dressed in their Halloween costumes roamed the streets, their laughter echoing through the twilight. It was a scene of idyllic normalcy, a celebration of childhood innocence and community spirit. But beneath the veneer of festivity, a darkness was brewing, a horror that would shatter the tranquility of this peaceful suburb. Inside the Liske home, a storm was raging. William Jr., his mind consumed by the demons of his illness, was on the verge of a psychotic break. His parents, exhausted and overwhelmed, struggled to contain his escalating behavior. The tension in the house was palpable, a suffocating presence that hung heavy in the air. The festive atmosphere of Halloween, with its costumed revelers and cheerful decorations, seemed to mock the grim reality unfolding within the walls of their home. As the hours ticked by, William Jr.'s behavior became increasingly erratic. He paced the house, muttering to himself, his eyes darting around the room as if pursued by unseen tormentors. His parents, fearful of what he might do, tried to reason with him, to calm his agitated mind. But their efforts were futile, their words falling on deaf ears. The darkness within William Jr. had consumed him, leaving no room for reason or compassion. As the night deepened, the horror that had been brewing for years finally erupted. William Jr., driven by the voices in his head, turned on his family. In a fit of rage, he attacked his parents and siblings, his fury fueled by the twisted logic of his illness. The house, once a symbol of suburban normalcy, became a scene of unimaginable carnage. The screams of his victims, muffled by the walls of their home, were lost in the night, unheard by the revelers outside. The illusion of Idyll was shattered, replaced by the stark reality of a nightmare come true.